Hello, viewers. Well, we just saw the first video, sort of internet launch, if you like, soft launch of the Xbox Scorpio with Digital Foundry reviewing the various technical specs. I'm joined, of course, again today by Kevin.
Hi, guys.
And we're going to just have a quick chat. We've literally just watched the video by Digital Foundry. Richard there, Ledbetter, explaining the various technical specs, being very lucky, being invited over to Microsoft to see some of the early sort of demos and sort of technical performance in action. The mind boggles as to what he's actually seen. But let's talk a little bit about what we've seen today. First things first, I think I'm a little bit underwhelmed with the actual video display. I was expecting it to be, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting, if we're going to do the technical specs, let's have a complete video about the technical specs, but let's also see some demos, even if the tech demos, looking at what the console is capable of, and some actual stuff that we can look forward to. I kind of walked away sort of feeling to myself, I knew it was powerful in the first place, and it's just sort of reiterated what we already knew. Now, what do you think, Kevin? What was your reflection on it today?
Yeah, I mean, Digital Foundry is very techy, isn't it? They're going into the very sort of technical jargon stuff, which is great for tech heads, but for the general population, they'll see this middle-aged man on the video there, and he'll just be waffling on, and it doesn't excite people, really, does it? It's just like it's a very straight, almost, dare I say it, boring presentation of something that should be exciting. This piece of tech is aimed at young adults mainly, and we need a bit more excitement in our presentations. It's just very low key. It was very technical, and I just don't think it was a good way to kick things off. No.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Digital Foundry, and but I think that you need your first showcase, which blows people's socks off. So perhaps held the video at Microsoft with a couple of developers, showcasing some stuff, showcasing some graphics, showcasing a few of the Xbox One games. I mean, just imagine if we could see, even just in the short term, Forza Horizon 3 running at perhaps 60 frames at 1080p, or increased detail at 2K, and then whatever you get at 4K. It would have been nice to have seen some current titles and just to have enthused people with some of what we could look forward to. It's the sort of stuff where you watch a main presentation and you say, wow, that was really interesting. Now, as a specialist, I would like to look at the under the bonnet, as it were.
Yes, exactly. It came across like one of those sort of additional videos that you get on top of the main reveal, like you're saying. It's like it was more tell than show, and they don't always go down well. I don't know, I was a bit underwhelmed by the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I spoke to a few gamer friends about it as well, and they're not sort of into it from a technical perspective as I am. As many of you know, listen to this, I'm Mr. Frame Rate, so I'm all about anything that improves that in any regard. So it was just, I thought it was fine as a video in its own right. It just as a launch to be the first ever place that reveals all of this stuff without reference. The specs mean nothing. And they didn't, and the reference was a screenshot. That was it. So no technical specs though, but to actually talk about the technical specs, very impressive. I think that there's no doubt about it. It's a solid, rock solid piece of hardware from what he was explaining there. But there was the omission of one thing. They didn't mention 4K Blu-ray. Now, you might say, oh, well, it's guaranteed to have 4K Blu-ray because the Xbox One S has 4K Blu-ray. But then we were surprised last year when PlayStation 4 Pro didn't include 4K Blu-ray. Now, they did highlight that the system uses Dolby Atmos, which is a sort of a new sound format. I mean, that depends if you have 7 speakers in your living room and want that kind of thing. But, the fact that they mentioned Dolby Atmos system but not 4K Blu-ray was quite surprising to me. I hope we're not going to be disappointed in that, or perhaps that's something they're going to hold back to a later date. As a technical specification, I think it should come under technical specs that it's able to do this. It's interesting, but then again, having not seen the hardware, we don't know of all of the outputs and what it's capable of. There's still a lot that they're holding back. But as I say, in terms of a global showcase of which this is, there was a lot of excitement for this video. I'm looking at the feedback now, people saying, actually, it was a bit underwhelming. Okay, it can do all that technical stuff. We kind of knew it could do all that last year when they said it would be 6 teraflops and an amazing system. So, everyone's been saying, well, it's an amazing system. So I think what it does is it reaffirms the performance of the system in people's eyes. Maybe someone was going to leak the details, so they've just decided to go ahead with this. Maybe there was people putting news out there saying that the console was less powerful than it actually was. So in which case, people were going out and saying, "Oh, well, if it's no more powerful than a Pro, I'll just buy a Pro." Those things sort of happen. So what they've said is, "Hey, this is the system, and it's way beyond anything else on the market right now." That's that's the fact. So in that sense, that's probably why they've gone and done this. Let's talk a little bit about the racing game. Obviously, the only game shown was a racing game. Yay, up the racing games! And of course, we saw Forza Motorsport 6 running on Xbox One with a screenshot of what it looks like upgraded on the Scorpio. Firstly, it looks incredible on the Xbox One. We've always said that. Now we have a system that's possibly 5 times the power. And my goodness, that was an impressive screenshot. There's no doubt about it. What did you think, Kevin?
Incredible. Oh, just the whole thing blew me away. The detail, the reflections, the clouds, the way the sun's shining through the clouds. Even the close up, you see all the various details on the cars. It just looks so sharp. Beautiful reflections. This looks to me next gen. This looks incredible.
Well, it looks amazing. I mean, we're looking at an Xbox One game upgraded. So the fact that it's upgraded. I mean, they ported it in 2 weeks, no optimization, and it was only using 66%.
2 days, I think it was.
2 days was it? 2 days. 2 days. No optimization. 66% of the CPU. So in terms of the detail on the cars, the bodywork, the car models were looking more like the Auto Vista models than the standard race models. I mean, the detail on the brake lights and everything, really nice to see. Obviously, he noted the fact that there was certain lighting and stuff that from the Xbox One version where they just ported it, so it brought it all into using 4K textures, much higher resolution. The fact that it ran at 60 frames from the off shows that the system is capable of good graphics at 60 frames in native 4K. Great. Wow. That means I can moan constantly now about frame rate, and there's no excuses for games not running at 60 frames. If Turn 10 can manage that at 4K, then when it comes to the 1080p presentations in high detail, I mean, what are we going to see in 1080p? My goodness, games should not run below 60 when it comes to racing games at 1080p on this hardware. Agreed, So I mean, that screenshot really was impressive, wasn't it? It was a
game changer, isn't it?
For
racing genre. I mean, we're talking 30% of GPU left to do what it wants to, whatever it can add on top of what we're seeing. I mean, this is a straight port with some extra anti-aliasing essentially.
So exactly.
It's incredible.
Exactly. Various changes. I mean, what's also interesting is that if you use an Xbox One game, it will increase it from 1080p or 900p to 4K options. It's got the power just to grunt at the box to do that, with minimal perhaps optimization to actually be able to get there. So I think that's, for your Xbox One collection, it's a game changer. But where it's really a game changer, if someone said to me, "Why are you buying an Xbox Scorpio?" I would say, well, because when it comes to multi-format releases, my current system of choice has been the PS4. But it won't be anymore. All my multi-format releases I'm going to buy on the Xbox Scorpio now, just because they run better and look better. Why buy them on the PlayStation 4? So this is a game changer in many ways. And the fact that even your Xbox One games will be, you assume that all your Xbox One titles will be compatible. You assume that all the Xbox 360 backward compatibility list will all be compatible with the Scorpio as well. Who knows how good everything is going to look and run, and what more we can see from it. So, no, it's a system that can run every game that's ever been made in that sense. And in terms of comparable to the PC, it might not have the specs of PC stuff, but as we always know, with a stable technical platform, they'll get more out of that Scorpio than you'll see in terms of PC performance. And I think Forza Motorsport, could look stunning. Also interesting to see what other developers, such as third-party developers, Project Cars 2, what they can do with that type of hardware as well. Because again, they were running that on Xbox One. What can they do with 5 times the power on the Scorpio. You know, it gives them so much more room now to deal with all of that graphics and processing.
Now that they've shown this amazing Forza 6 screenshot, people are going to expect at minimum this level of fidelity. So now they've they've sort of made a rod for their own back in a way. They have to match or perhaps better that screenshot, and to me that is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, wow. I mean, what can we expect from Forza Motorsport 7 now? I mean, now we've seen what Forza Motorsport 6 looks like. You know, I mean, a lot of us, I mean, you know, admittedly, I'm not a massive fan of Forza Motorsport 6 because I don't like the handling on it, and that's not going to change. But graphically, I'm happy to swim around in 4K 60 frames if it can run that and just enjoy the scenery. I mean, it will just be beautiful to play. But Forza Motorsport 7, using everything this system has to offer, combined with improved handling, you know, it's going to, you know, that is a comparison.
I'm praying that there's going to be dynamic time of day and weather on all tracks, you know, coupled with this technology. I mean, wow.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be now. No reason why it shouldn't.
I mean, it's also worth pointing out this screenshot shows the max number of cars as well on the tracks that was in Forza Motorsport 6. So it's worth noting as well. They're not sort of cutting down on cars to give you this fidelity. This is a straight port with a maximum amount of cars with 4K textures, I believe, and some anti-aliasing improvements. So
yeah,
it could be a lot better than this. You know,
it can be. And this system is now direct comparison to Gran Turismo running on the Pro. So, you know, it's a direct comparison on the market. You know, these are the Pro versus the Scorpio, the new generation of current gen systems. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. And also, you know, it's technically it's Gran Turismo 7 versus Forza Motorsport 7. You know, they, despite being years behind, Forza have caught up very quickly this last few years. So it'll be very interesting to see who wins this battle later this year. You know, we'll be keeping a close eye on that here. And as I say, at E3, we'll be doing our best to get as much coverage on these titles as possible, and perhaps interviews with the developers. And I think by then we should see what the hardware looks like at E3. We'll know more about the overall technical specifications, and we'll know, you know, we'll have a fair old idea of the rest of the performance in terms of what an actual Scorpio title is going to look like. They're talking about, you know, big releases being shown there this year that are sort of designed with the Scorpio in mind. You know, does that mean eventually they're going to leave the Xbox One behind? To an extent, it'll be a few years, I think, in terms of the transition. But it all depends on the price of the hardware, and that's something we still don't know. How much is this system going to cost? And it's, you know, really, if you think about it, the Xbox One, Microsoft made you buy the Kinect. They're not now, so that knocks, you know, quite a bit off the price. And I think that Microsoft is going to be quite competitive.
Yeah, is this the start of the next generation with the Scorpio, or do you think this is just a sort of Microsoft trying to save face with the Xbox One?
Trying to save face. This is the console the Xbox One should have been in the first place. That's basically it. They messed up with the Xbox One. It was appalling in many ways. It looked horrible. The focus was on the Kinect. Nobody cared about Kinect. It wasn't going anywhere. The focus was on TV at the time, whatever that was about. My goodness. And for us as gamers, I remember just being so disappointed. And then when you launched the dashboard, and the dashboard was shocking, you know, it was like, what have you guys been doing for the last 7 years?
There was one moment where my jaw dropped with the Xbox One reveal, and that was the backwards compatibility feature. That was the only jaw-dropping moment for me watching that back, which probably says a lot really about the console, doesn't it?
So moving on from the Xbox One, you know, it really shows Microsoft have learned with the Xbox One S in terms of refining the hardware and packaging it correctly. They've improved the performance there. They've included 4K Blu-ray and a competitive price. This system, no doubt, will have a competitive price to an extent. I say will have. I mean, I still don't think it will be a penny below £400, but that's good. I personally would like to see a £500 console on the market for those that can afford it. You know, I think there should be variable options. You know, why does a game console always have to be £200 or thereabouts? No, the PlayStation 1 was one of the most successful consoles of all time that changed everything. By today's money, that's £670 for that console. But we were happy to pay it because we were getting genre-defining technology.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. You know, if you said to me, would I be willing to pay more for a good console? Yes. If you want budget, get the Xbox One S. If you want full price console experiences, be prepared to pay more. And I think that works. You know, we're in a market where people buy new mobile phones every year or every 2 years that are worth £500 each, or the best part of that. You know, I think game consoles need to get with the program now in terms of where technology is. You know, if people want to, but I mean, I wouldn't say every 2 years for a console works. I'd say, you know, 5 years is a good time for a console, you know, because things do change a lot in 10 years. I think they tried to make the console cycle 10 years a cycle. That's just too long. You know, you're using dated technology, but I think 5 years is a reasonable time for a new refresh of technology, if the console manufacturers are utilizing the best specs at that time, which they weren't on Xbox One. So no, this is Microsoft getting themselves back on track. They've done the right thing. I've no doubt that multi-format releases such as Star Wars will look incredible on the system, and I really look forward to E3. So it might not have been the most exciting video. Final thoughts, Kevin?
Well, it's all about that screenshot, isn't it? Just the mind boggles to what they can achieve. If this is just a port, you know, just imagine what a sort of you know, developed from the, well, maybe not the ground up, but you know, with the Scorpio in mind. You know, you can add on so much more detail, so many more effects. It's just going to be absolutely incredible. Really looking forward to it. But we need to see games running on the Scorpio. So unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to wait until E3. But very excited, needless to say, and just sort of looking forward to E3.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for that, Kevin. And that's it from us for now, viewers. We're going to keep an eye on the Scorpio developments as they happen. And that's it. Well, of course, we'll be at E3 as well and trying to get all the information we can. So if there's anything you'd like to see, of course, always mention it in the comments. But that's it from us for now. As ever, more soon.